ready? Okay. Good morning. My name is Justin Mulcahy. I'm spokesman for the Anne Arundel County Police Department. Joining me today are Anne Arundel County Chief of Police Amal Awad and FBI Baltimore Field Office Acting Special Agent in Charge Joe Rothrock. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. We're here to provide an update on the investigation into the homicide and sexual assault of Pam Conor, which began over 53 years ago. Pam, as she was known to those who knew and loved her, was a 16-year-old Glen Burnie High School student at the time of her death. During the evening hours of Friday, October 16, 1970, Pam attended a bonfire at Glen Burnie High School. Pam returned to her home in the 8000 block of Twin Ridge Drive in Glen Burnie before leaving around 8:15 p.m. in the family's goldish-brown 1967 Dodge Monaco. She was running an errand for her mother at Arundel Mall. That would be the last known sighting of Pam. The following morning, Pam's parents were alarmed when she had not returned home, and a missing persons report was filed. 2 days later, on Monday, October 19, 1970, the Conyers' Dodge Monaco was located abandoned not far from the intersection of Maryland Route 177 and Mountain Road. It was under construction. It's the current Route 100 overpass near Waterford Road. Just 1 day later, Pam's body was discovered in some pine thicket about 20 to 30 yards from where that vehicle had been discovered. An autopsy was performed, which revealed the manner and cause of Pam's death as homicide by asphyxiation. At this time, I would like to turn the podium over to Chief Awad to provide another new development in Pam's case.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Justin. Again, my name is Amal Awad. I serve as Chief of Police for Anne Arundel County Police Department. As you've just heard, Pamela Conor was a vibrant 16-year-old Anne Arundel County resident, a student at Glen Burnie High School who just attended a homecoming bonfire before running a routine errand for her mother, only to have her life prematurely and violently taken. This time last year, we announced the identification of Forrest Clyde Williams III as the individual responsible for Pam's murder. Mr. Williams, who was called Clyde by those who knew him, died in 2018 at the age of 69. If Williams had been alive, he'd have been charged with the homicide of Pamela Conor. As we informed you during our last press conference, we'd not ruled out a second individual being involved in Pam's murder. Our investigative team continued to pursue investigative leads in an effort to fully understand the events of that fateful night. That additional hard work by our investigative team has proven to return confirmed results. Today, we stand before you with a major update in this case. Again, due to the hard work and tenacity of our cold case homicide detectives, the FBI, the Attorney General's Office for the State of Maryland, and our Evidence Collection Unit, our investigation has revealed the identity of a second individual responsible for the homicide and sexual assault of Pamela Conor. Through these continued investigative efforts, Donald Willard, formerly of Montgomery County, Maryland, has been identified as the second suspect in the homicide of Pamela Conor. Like Williams, Donald Willard is deceased. He died in 2010 at the age of 74. Also, like Williams, if Willard was still alive today, he too would be charged for his role in the death of Pamela Conor. Although both suspects have died, it's important to understand that today's announcement does not conclude our agency's investigative efforts to pursue the facts and circumstances which led to Forrest Clyde Williams III and Donald Willard taking the young, innocent life of Pamela Conor. We recognize this announcement has been a long time coming, particularly for Pam's family and friends. While we do hope it provides a sense of closure to all who knew and loved her, we know that they still search for answers to what happened to Pam on that Friday, October 16th, 1970. That's why we're continuing to push forward with our investigation. We're still seeking to provide them with these answers. Today, we're also asking for your help and the community's help by coming forward with any additional information you may have. At this time, I'll turn the podium over to Acting Special Agent in Charge, Joe Rothrock of the FBI Baltimore Field Office. Joe?
Thank you, Chief. Good morning. I'm Acting Special Agent in Charge Joe Rothrock of the FBI's Baltimore Field Office. A year ago, after announcing the identity of the first suspect in the assault and murder of Pam Conyers, investigators knew their work was not complete, but they continued to pursue justice for Pam and her loved ones. I thank the Anne Arundel County Police Department and the Maryland Attorney General's Office for their strong partnership and unwavering dedication. The resolution of this case wouldn't have been possible without interagency cooperation. It was through the persistent investigative efforts of law enforcement that both suspects in Pam's homicide were identified. When the suspect DNA from the crime scene could not tell us exactly who the suspects were, FBI personnel utilized investigative genetic genealogy to identify the two men responsible for Pam's death. During the investigative genetic genealogy process, the FBI personnel utilized publicly accessible databases and conducted open source research to locate potential relatives of the suspects. Interviews of these relatives were conducted and eventually led to the identification of suspects. It took significant FBI resources to positively identify Williams and Willard as the men responsible for Pam's death. Those resources included FBI Baltimore, the FBI Laboratory Division, and the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit. Since Williams and Willard had not been previously connected to Pam's homicide, it was only through this proactive investigative work and interagency cooperation that we achieved this long-awaited result. Like Chief said, although we have identified a second person responsible for Pam Conyers' death, investigators are still working to find answers. And for that, we stand here today and ask for your help. Pam still deserves all of our best efforts to learn what happened to her. Thank you. I'll now turn things back over to Anne Arundel County Police to explain how you can help.
Part of law enforcement's responsibility in our community has been to identify Pam's killers. We can confidently say to you today we have been able to do that. However, we also have a responsibility to ensure we learn as much as we can about these two individuals, Williams and Willard. This includes learning whether they together or separately may be responsible for any other unsolved offenses. So here's where we need your help. Here's our plea to the community right now. Please take a look at these photos of the suspects being shown on the screen right now. The photo of Forrest Clyde Williams III, who went by Clyde, was taken in April of 1971. That's when he was 23 years old. The photo of Donald Willard was taken around 1996 at the age of 60. Now on the next screen you'll see a photo of Clyde Williams. This is in 2005 when he was around 56 years old. And you're also going to see a photo of Donald Willard in 2009 when he was 73. So here's some background information that we have so far that we can share on these two individuals. Williams resided in both Anne Arundel County and in the state of Virginia. He attended Northeast High School in Pasadena and was described as being a drifter for the most part. He hunted and he fished. Williams had a criminal history for drunken disorderly in Florida and committed some assaults and had a handgun incident. Willard hunted and was described as being a handyman. He resided in the Pasadena area of Anne Arundel County and was working with a company called Hover Hill Contracting Company. Again, that's Hover Hill Contracting Company. They were out of White Marsh at the time, and that was during the construction project at Route 100 where Pam's body and vehicle were located. So he was working with that construction company at the time. Willard later moved to Montgomery County, Maryland, where he remained until he died of natural causes in 2010 at the age of 74. Some background on Willard. He committed an auto theft in 1966 in Baltimore City, along with a robbery in the city in 1970. However, we don't know if these men committed additional crimes. Investigators are looking to put together a complete picture of what happened here. We have missing pieces that we hope to locate these blank spaces for and fill things in. We don't know what type of relationships the suspects had with each other. We do not know if they knew each other prior to the crime. There's no indication at this time that they knew Pam prior to her death. So here's again our ask. We're asking those who knew Forrest Clyde Williams and Donald Willard in any way, share your experiences with us. What are those experiences? Maybe you hunted or fished with them. Maybe you worked or drank a beer with them. If you did, call us. We know that both men spent time at a now closed establishment that was referred to as the Mountain Bar on Mountain Road in Pasadena. If you spent time there or saw them, call us. If you worked on a construction site with either person, reach out to us. If you knew either man during their lifespan, starting in the 60s until their death, we want to hear from you. If you had any interaction, contact the police department. Anyone with information can call our tip line. That's 410-222-4731. Again, 410-222-4731. You can also remain anonymous by contacting 410-222-4700. Even though these individuals have since died, it's not too late to come forward with information. There's no information that's too small. It's all significant to us. We're aware that there's occasions where people have knowledge and don't come forward for a litany of reasons, maybe fear of retaliation, fear of embarrassment, the close relationships they may have had, fear of their own safety or reputation or standing in the community amongst people that are mutual friends. Maybe they were caught up with something that these individuals were involved in. Law enforcement can rule that out through their investigation. We know that relationships change over time. Perceptions and memories and loyalties change over time. So bring any information forward on these two individuals that you're thinking, I just wasn't sure if I should say anything. It's the time to say something. Even if you think it's insignificant, it's not. Every bit of information helps. Again, you can contact us at that number, 410-222-4731, or remain anonymous by calling 410-222-4700. So we will open it up now for any questions that anyone may have. I know that was a lot of information to digest. Go ahead, Kate.
You're looking right at me.
Yeah.
Thanks. I just wanted to ask, just to clarify, that you identified, I know last year, Mr. Williams, through genetic genealogy, and used the same method to identify the second suspect. Is that right now the only connection that you have between Mr. Willard and Pam? And you're looking to fill in the rest of the story?
Exactly. So we don't have any indication that they knew Pam prior to her death. We're not sure that they knew each other. There seems to be a common link at this bar that they may have frequented, so I think that's a key point for members of the media to point out, that maybe somebody frequented that same bar and knew one or both of them. So that's why we're trying to put out as much information as we can, Kate, to try to really put this thing together and form a picture of who these individuals were during their life. We know there's unsolved cases out there, and we know that sometimes individuals commit heinous crimes multiple times over. So we're just trying to find out exactly what, if anything, these individuals could have been involved in outside of the Pam Connor's death. Yes, sir. Hey, John.
How does the department get these hits? I mean, I know you're constantly working on cold cases. Is this something that was investigated and there was a hit, or was there something added into, as the FBI said, the public accessible database that triggered a hit with you guys?
So I can give you some pretty specific background now that we've solved it. DNA was found on Pam and in the vehicle. Okay, so that's linking the two suspects. It was sent for processing in 1996. DNA was analyzed and placed into the CODIS system. I'm sure you've heard of CODIS. These profiles remained unidentified until law enforcement utilized forensic genealogy. The DNA from Willard and Williams were found inside the vehicle. We can tell you they were located on cigarettes inside the vehicle, and Williams had latent prints recovered outside the vehicle. Those prints were identified in 2022 due to enhancements in the latent print database. So.
Can you just say that again? I missed the second.
Yeah, so the DNA was found, we have DNA found in the vehicle, okay, and also the victim as well. That DNA was sent for processing back in 1996. It was analyzed and placed into CODIS. Those profiles remain unidentified until law enforcement was able to utilize forensic genealogy. So again, it's the advancements in forensic genealogy along with the investigative tools.
And then what about the cigarettes? That was part of what you said.
So DNA from Willard and Williams, both men were found on cigarettes inside the vehicle.
And a print from which one?
And a latent print from Williams. was found outside the vehicle, recovered outside the vehicle, yep.
But the ones that get Willard, this most recent time, was that where did that hit on the DNA come from? Was that proactively investigated by Anne Arundel County?
So, yeah, so we told you last year, I don't know if you were here last year, John, but we said, hey, we're not ruling out the possibility that there could be a second suspect here. And so that's where those developments happened. The DNA was analyzed and profiles were developed last year in 2023, which has led us to this day.
Okay, and you're
Yep.
confident that there are only 2 suspects?
We're confident that we have the 2 people responsible for Pam's death,
So
absolutely.
there's not a third, or?
Yeah, we're confident we have the 2 people based on the evidence, yes.
But at the last announcement last year, we asked if you might be looking at Mr. Williams in connection to the murder of Kathy Sesnick from the Keepers, and you said, we're leaving everything open. And I'm wondering if that applies for Mr. Willard as well today?
Right now, I mean, that's pretty much the point of why we're having the press conference. We don't know if these individuals offended elsewhere or what else they could have been involved in, so that kind of leads us to this point. I mean, we feel confident we have the individuals responsible for this crime, but we're asking the community's help, if these individuals could have potentially said anything or been involved in anything else. Yeah.
What's the name of the bar again?
I believe in the 70s it was referred to as the Mountain Road Bar, Mountain Bar in Pasadena. My understanding is that's no longer there, no longer in
I
existence.
think it was also the Brick House at one time.
Yeah, so again, that's a sort of a key point. People that visited that area in Pasadena and the county that may have had, crossings with these individuals, conversations, we'd like to hear from them.
Any indication that if they served time together, I don't know if Mr. Willard served prison time for his time?
We don't have any information, Kate, that indicates that there's any nexus between these guys right now, other than that bar that appears to be a place that they both visited.
Any other unsolved murders from that area or around that construction project at that time that you know are open?
Again, I'm just focused on right now, just trying to get anything we can on them, because we know that sometimes people do reoffend, unfortunately, sadly. Yeah. Any other questions? All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll stick around if you have anything after.
Do
Thanks.
you think those